Yeah, guys, as you can tell by the thumbnail and by the title of this video, I am back with another Raw review. I have said in previous Raw and SmackDown reviews that I'm only gonna do Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews for the Raw and SmackDown before a PLE and after a PLE. But I did also say, depending on how good the Raw or SmackDown is, that I will do a review for it if I feel that it's worthy of making a review. And last night's Raw is definitely one of those Raws where I feel that it is worthy of me talking about, considering the fact that it's not after a PLE or before a PLE. But I think last night's Raw has the contendership to be one of the Raws of the year, because Raw was very good last night. As you can tell by the thumbnail, I did give Raw a 5 out of 5. I'd say a moderate 5 out of 5. Very close to a low 5 out of 5, but still in contender of one of the Raws of the year. But just because it's in contender of Raws of the year doesn't mean it has to be a high 5 out of 5. Because it's still a 5 out of 5 Raw and one of the best Raws this year. But yeah, also I want to apologise because I notice a lot in my videos I say a lot. I'm very sorry, but it's just in my vocabulary to say that a lot when I'm filming for some weird reason. So I will say it a lot in this video. I know I will, even though I've just kind of said to myself to kind of stop saying that, but I will. I know I will. Anyways, yeah, I did give Raw last night a 5 out of 5 because I do feel it was worthy of a 5 out of 5. Do you lot agree with me in last night's Raw being a 5 out of 5, or do you believe that it was good but could have been better, so you gave it a 4 out of 5? Or do you believe it was decent? There was a lot of decent moments, but for you personally, it was not quite a good or an excellent Raw? Or do you believe that it was meh, like there was like one or two things that you liked, but you don't feel it was decent, good, or great? Or do you believe that actually you don't agree with what a lot of people are saying, and this was actually one of the worst Raws of the year, and you will never go back and watch anything to do with this Raw, and you wish this Raw just never happened, and you felt that it was actually quite a shit Raw, so you gave it a 1 out of 5? Or let me know in the comments, because again, I will say, I did give Raw last night a 5 out of 5, because personally thought it was a solid show overall, and definitely, like I've said multiple times, worthy of being one of the Raws of the year. But I guess we'll see how the rest of the year goes with Raws, because I think we've got like 6 Raws left, 6 or 7 Raws left, which is actually a bit mental. But yeah, I'm going to kick straight on with this because I don't know how long my mic is going to record for, because I did do a lit playlist video and a lot of time was taken up using my mic for that video, so I want to get this filmed as quickly as possible. So yeah, I'm going to kick straight on with what happened on Raw last night. We kicked off with none other than John Cena. Obviously, last night's Raw was in Boston, Massachusetts. John Cena's hometown, and yeah, we actually kicked it off though with not John Cena. We did actually kick it off with Triple H giving like an introduction into the career of John Cena and the WWE that we see today. Yeah, so he gave a very good introduction and introduced John Cena into the Boston crowd, and the crowd, not to anyone's surprise, was absolutely insane of a pop for John Cena. Of course, it being in Boston, Massachusetts, of course he was going to get that pop, but it was a very, very insane pop, and probably one of the pops of the year. So yeah, John Cena obviously made his way to the ring for the last time in his hometown. Would appear in the wrestling ring, which is actually quite crazy. He thanked the fans a lot for pretty much everything. I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't write a lot down for this segment, even though this segment I did give a high 5 out of 5, because it was John Cena's last appearance in his hometown of Boston, Massachusetts. I kind of wanted to sit and enjoy it and not have to constantly write down things. So I have only wrote like the things I really, really felt that I wanted to write. There probably was a lot more that he said in that promo, and the person that interrupts him in that promo, but I've just wrote down like just bits here and there because, like I said, I wanted to enjoy this last segment that John Cena had in his hometown. But yeah, he did thank the fans a lot for everything. He said that on December 13th, he wants Saturday Night's main event, and he requested that Saturday Night's main event be an NXT exhibition. So what that means is that obviously John Cena will go on to have his last match in the main event against whoever wins this Last Time Is Now tournament. There is rumors of there being a co-main event, and that co-main event being Logan Paul versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. Not sure how true that is, but apparently they're the two matches. And then the other 4 matches, possibly 5, because they might do a few more matches on this last main event, considering that it's John Cena's last, and they might make it a 3-hour PLE instead of it being a 2-hour glorified house show, considering that it's John Cena's last ever appearance and he wants exhibition matches to happen on this main event. So we might get an extra 5 matches. So we might get 7 matches on this card. And what he meant by that is that he wants NXT superstars to be a part of this Saturday night's main event. So what that means is that we could get, for example, we could get Javon Evans versus trying to think, Cody Rhodes. Like we could get an Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes. We could get a Trick Williams versus Cody Rhodes. It pretty much means that WWE superstars that are on Raw and SmackDown will either put their championships on the line, or they will have just a one-on-one match with a NXT superstar that's of a young talent. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be all championship matches on Saturday's main event. It just means that an NXT superstar will go one-on-one with a Raw or SmackDown superstar to give them the opportunity to showcase their skills and show that WWE is in good hands with these young talents that get to perform on Saturday's main event on the same show that John Cena will have his final ever match on. He wants to give back to the young talent by allowing them to perform on this Saturday's main event that is normally dedicated to Raw and SmackDown superstars, but this time it will be Raw, SmackDown, and NXT superstars, and those NXT superstars will get to have possible dream matches or just matches against somebody that they haven't had a match with yet that are on the main roster. It's pretty much what he wants, and that's what will happen. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out, because Saturday's main event is literally in like a month's time, so it's going to be interesting to see where all of this goes now. And we've got quite an intriguing like 4 weeks of wrestling when it comes to WWE. But yeah, and then Dominic Mysterio interrupted quite quickly actually not quite quickly, but a bit into the segment with Triple H and John Cena, said he was interrupted by Ray, but he only interrupts old men, not old men interrupting him. Dom said, let the grown men speak or I'll put you down, obviously talking to John Cena. John Cena said that he's invincible, which is quite funny because this whole like catchphrase is "you can't see me," which means that we can't see him. So he literally played on that, but in a different way, which was quite cool, because obviously he's in his hometown and he's absolutely invincible in his hometown and he doesn't lose. Dom said, you're going to need more than magic to put me down. So obviously John Cena said that he's invisible. And then Triple H made it official that the first match of the night will be Dominic Mysterio putting his Intercontinental Championship on the line against John Cena, and if John Cena wins, he officially becomes a Grand Slam champion. And that is exactly what happened. We got John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio in a moderate 3 out of 5 match. I'll give it that. It wasn't good or great, but it was a very Dom and John Cena match, so I will give it a mod 3 out of 5 just for the basis that it was quite funny to watch. It was pretty much a 50-50 that match though, and I'm very glad it was, because I felt like if John Cena just dominated the whole match, it kind of in a way would have sort of in a way buried Dominic. I wouldn't say buried Dominic, but kind of a little bit. but I'm glad that Dominic was able to get a lot of the offense on John Cena, because obviously Dominic's young and John Cena's not. So it would have been a little bit unfair for John Cena to completely destroy Dominic, considering that his whole run over the next 4 weeks is to put over talent. So yeah, I'm glad that Dominic pretty much dominated a lot of this match, but it was still quite 50-50 for me. Dom kept taunting the crowd because obviously it was in Boston, Massachusetts, John Cena's hometown. We got the signature shoulder tackle and 5 knuckle shuckle by John Cena, which the crowd went absolutely crazy for, of course. John tried using a chair, gave it to John Cena, but then John Cena pretended that Dominic hit him with a chair, so they both were laying on the floor, so the ref was confused when he turned around, because Dom did try and take off the turnbuckle to distract the ref, and the ref was putting it back up, so when he turned around, they were both laying on the floor, and then John Cena gave Dominic a wink, which was quite funny. And then we got, also the ref did get knocked down by Dominic Mysterio by accident, and then we had a close, Dominic did tap out to the FU or STF, and then John Cena pulled off the AA, but there wasn't a ref, so a ref came running down to the ring as fast as he could, but Dominic was able to kick out, and then I think Dominic pulled off the 619 and was about to pull off the frog splash, but John Cena rolled him up into a AA or something like that anyway, and hit the AA on Dominic Mysterio and got the 1, 2, 3, and John Cena is officially the Intercontinental Champion for the next month, possibly. I don't know, he might lose it next week to a someone that debuts, maybe. We might get a debut next week, and John Cena puts his title on the line, the same way that in like an US Open Challenge kind of thing, but this time an Intercontinental Open Challenge, and somebody debuts that is not a part of the Last Time Is Now tournament from NXT, and he drops the title to whoever debuts next week. That's a possibility, but there also is the possibility that John Cena holds on to this Intercontinental Championship until December 13th, and then whoever is John Cena's last opponent will most likely win the Intercontinental Championship off of John Cena. But so yeah, there's 2 ways that it could go. But John Cena is our new Intercontinental Champion, which is quite a mad sentence to say, and is also a Grand Slam champion, which is crazy, but I'm glad it happened, because this is the one thing on the retirement tour that everybody wanted to see happen. They wanted John Cena to become a 17-time world champion, and they wanted John Cena to become a Grand Slam champion, and he has now accomplished both of those things. So a lot of people will now be happy, because 2 of the things that most people wanted have happened. And obviously we've had AJ Styles, which a lot of people wanted. We had CM Punk, which loads of people wanted. We've had Randy Orton, which loads of people wanted. There is one more person that everybody wants John Cena to have a match with, but most likely is not going to happen. That will not happen, which is Edge. But other than that, a lot of stuff that everybody wanted to happen in this retirement tour has happened, and I'm very grateful that we've got the retirement tour that we've gotten, because I have personally really, really enjoyed every single moment of it. So yeah, like I said, I did give the match between John Cena and Dominic for the Intercontinental Championship a moderate 3 out of 5. We then got round 1 of the Last Time Is Now tournament between Damian Priest and Rusev. I did end up giving this match a high 3 out of 5, because I felt it was only just better than Dominic versus John Cena for the Intercontinental Championship, because I genuinely thought that this was going to be like a very high 4 out of 5 match, because these 2 in the ring, Damian and Rusev, are very hard hitting, and we did get that. But I think because they're playing on the Damian Priest eye injury, that it wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be. And plus, John Cena and Dominic Mysterio and Triple H had about 45 minutes of a 2-hour and 30-minute show. So they sort of had to cram the rest of the show in. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of the matches that happened on last night's show didn't get as long as they would have got if the runtime for John Cena and Dominic wasn't as long as it was. But I'm not bothered at all, because this Raw, like I said, is still contender Raw of the Year. But yeah, it was very hard hitting from the get-go between Damian and Rusev. Rusev was pretty much dominating for a lot of the match and kept going for the injured eye that Damian Priest is dealing with. We had a lot of elbows and kicks involved in this match throughout it, and Rusev was able to pick up the victory and advances into round 2 of the Last Time Is Now tournament. And I'm assuming Rusev will go on to face the other winner of round 1 that happened last night. I'm assuming anyway. But yeah, like I said, gave it a high 3 out of 5. Was expecting it to be better than it was, but it was still a decent match. So yeah, and I'm glad that Rusev won. Yeah. The next thing that happened on Raw last night that I wrote down was the CM Punk segment. I did end up giving this segment last night between CM Punk and the rest of them that we'll speak about in a minute a moderate 5 out of 5 because I personally wasn't expecting a lot of it to happen, and was better than I was expecting. I was literally expecting Logan and Punk to just have a like 8-10 minute segment in the ring, just going back and forth about why he done that and yada yada. But it was way different than I expected, so I did end up giving it a moderate 5 out of 5. Said CM Punk said that he's pissed off. He also said that he will fight him in the street because he doesn't want to have a fight for the championship. He doesn't want to have a fight in the ring. He wants to just have a fight. Said that Logan is a piece of garbage. That's very true. Logan interrupted quite quickly into the segment, which I kind of knew was going to happen, and I'm glad it did. Logan said that he's the smartest in the whole arena and that his eyes have been opened to a new vision, and that's when Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman stood side by side with Logan Paul. Paul Heyman said that Punk has no friends and called him a bastard and said he's very unlikable unless your name is AJ Lee. For some reason, I don't know why I don't know why Paul Heyman came for AJ Lee being really unlikable. I'm really confused how that makes any sense. So I don't see how AJ Lee is more unlikable than CM Punk. I don't really understand what the reference is for that was and why he came for AJ Lee. It was a bit confusing, but okay. Punk said he will fight all 5 of them because Paul Heyman counts as 2 people, which was quite a funny segment for him a funny saying for him to say about Paul Heyman. Always coming for his size, but it's what it is. I don't mind it. I think it's quite funny. But Jay came out and stood side by side with CM Punk. Bron Breakker, Bronson, and Logan then entered the ring and started beating down CM Punk and Jey Uso for none other than Cody Rhodes to come out and make the save for Jey Uso and CM Punk. So that's going to be an interesting trio, considering what Jay's been going through at the moment with kind of being a little bit of a little Roman. So that does mean that my prediction for War Games is wrong, for one. So the video that comes out tomorrow for you guys is I've already got 1 match wrong. Actually, no, I've already got 2 matches wrong because the men's War Games isn't how I planned it. And also 1 match is not happening now because Cody Rhodes is part of War Games, and I'm going to spoil one of the matches in my prediction tomorrow. I did say that I was expecting Drew versus Cody in a stipulation, but that obviously is now not happening because Cody is now a part of War Games alongside CM Punk and Jey Uso. But I guess we'll have to wait and see if the other 2 I put in that War Games are correct, but I don't know. I don't know. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it was announced that later on that night. Hang on, guys. I'm back. It was announced later that night that William Regal announced War Games. That it will be the team of Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul versus the team of CM Punk, Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes. Obviously, they've got to find another 2 people to be a part of those teams. I'm not going to say my prediction on the 2 people I think it's going to be, because the 2 people that I haven't mentioned names that I do mention in that video that is out tomorrow could still be the 4 people, not the 2 people, the 4 people that is a part of this War Games, but I don't know. So I'm not going to say who I think the other 4 people could be, because I'm going to keep it to what my prediction is. Apart from one of them, I'm going to say Roman Reigns not being in it, instead it being Cody Rhodes, but the other 2 people could be as part of it, but it could probably be Roman Reigns. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not going to say much more on the men's War Games side of things. But yeah. And then a massive brawl happened also in that whole segment that happened with CM Punk, Logan Paul, Paul Heyman, Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes. So yeah, like I said, gave it a moderate 5 out of 5 segment. The next match that happened on last night's Raw was the Women's World Championship between Raquel Rodriguez and Stephanie Vaquer. I did end up giving this a low 3 out of 5 because I personally didn't enjoy it as much as Damian Priest versus Rusev and John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. So I did end up giving this a low 3 out of 5, but didn't feel it was a meh or a awful match, but did think it was very close to being a meh match, but just gave it a 3 out of 5. Well, low 3 out of 5. Raquel was pretty much dominating Stephanie for 85% of this match, which was very odd. Yeah, Stephanie was getting destroyed for 85% of this match, like I've already said. We did eventually get the Devil's Kiss, which I'm very glad about, and Stephanie retained. That's literally all I wrote down on this in this match, because that's pretty much what happened. Like, Raquel just dominated for 85% of this match. Stephanie was destroyed for 85% of this match. We got the Devil's Kiss, and then we got the Spanish Corkscrew 450 splash, whatever the hell that move is called. But yeah, but then a brawl did happen. Roxanne made her way into the ring and attacked Nikki Bella. No, attacked Roxanne. No, attacked Stephanie Vaquer. Nikki then got involved and started brawling with Roxanne, and then Raquel got herself involved, and Roxanne and Raquel started beating down Nikki Bella. But Stephanie got up and started to help Nikki Bella. Raquel and Roxanne rolled out of the ring, and then when Stephanie turned around, she got the title in the face, knocked to the floor, and Nikki Bella has officially become a heel, and we now have fearless Nikki Bella back in WWE as a heel. And am I here for it? Yes. Because does Nikki work better as a heel? Yes. And now is there potential of a rematch between a heel Nikki Bella and a babyface AJ Lee? Yes. So I am down for this. And I don't think Nikki Bella's going to win the Women's World title. But I think this now does give Stephanie a feud before she then has a bigger feud with probably Liv Morgan down the line. So this is kind of just a filler feud until the returning of until the return of Liv Morgan happens. But yeah, I'm down for it. But yeah, like I said, I did give this a low 3 out of 5. I've not made it higher just because Nikki turned heel, because I kind of in a way knew that was happening. But I'm glad that I'll give the Nikki heel turn a 3 out of 5, a moderate 3 out of 5, but the match itself a low 3 out of 5. But yeah, guys, so that is the first lot of stuff that happened on Raw last night that is on that piece of paper. But there was another piece of paper, so I have wrote on both sides on one paper and then one side on another bit of paper. So there was a lot to talk about with this Raw. So it does qualify as Raw of the Year, considering how much I wrote about Raw. And I normally only most of the time I normally only write about 1.5 pages, but this time I wrote 2.5 pages. So that goes to show, guys, that Raw last night was pretty good. And then we got the second round, but still counts as round 1 of the Last Time Is Now tournament. Second match, sorry, not second round. Between Shinsuke Nakamura and Sheamus. I did end up giving this a high 3 out of 5 because I felt that it was on par with the Damian Priest and Rusev match. Don't feel it was better than the Damian Priest versus Rusev match, but don't feel it was worse either. So I gave it a high 3 out of 5. We had a lot of knees and kicks involved in this match. Like I said, it was a decent match, but not really match to. It was a decent match, because I did not make sense whatever I wrote down there. It was a decent match, but I didn't feel that there was a lot to write down because 97% of this match was just a lot of knees and kicks. So I couldn't just keep writing knees and kicks, knees and kicks, knees and kicks. So there wasn't really a lot to write down in this match, but it doesn't mean it wasn't a decent match. But yeah, we had a lovely suplex from the top rope to Shinsuke Nakamura though, by Shinsuke Nakamura, sorry, to Sheamus, which was done to absolute perfection. We got the 10 beats to the chest by Sheamus finally, because he was trying to pull that off a couple of times. We had a nasty knee to the chest by Sheamus to Shinsuke as he jumped over the top rope, like he got him right dead on in the chest, and that sounded and looked nasty as fuck. Yeah. But Sheamus was able to pick up the victory in this high 3 out of 5 match and has advanced to round 2, which I'm presuming he will go one-on-one with Rusev. I'm presuming. Yeah, surely. Round 1 and round 1 will go up against each other. And then round 2 next week, those two will go up against each other, I'm presuming. Which we are now on to. Like I said, one more time, I did give Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sheamus a high 3 out of 5, and Sheamus did win that match and advanced to round 2 alongside Rusev, who advanced earlier on the night against Damian Priest. So, yeah. Round 2 was announced last night as well in the Last Time Is Now tournament. We have got our first NXT superstar, Javon Evans, but unfortunately, he's going up against a returning Gunther. So it's not looking good for Javon Evans, considering that he's young, because he's literally 21, and Gunther is 39, possibly 40. So kind of does in a way make sense for Javon to beat Gunther next week. But considering that this is Gunther's returning match and he's against an NXT superstar, most likely means that Gunther is not losing next week. So I can guarantee you that Gunther is advancing next week, unfortunately, even though it makes a hell of a lot more sense for it to be Javon Evans, considering that John Cena wants to put over a young talent, and Javon Evans is literally in his early 20s at only 21 years old. But Javon Evans just isn't beating Gunther. There's just no way. I mean, I would be shocked if he does, but I can't see it. And then match number 2 is someone that John Cena has had a match with in the past, and is Solo Sikoa. My mate Alex said that it's probably most likely going to be Matt Cardona, considering it's a mystery, and I think they're leaving TNA superstars as a mystery. Like I said, I do think the LA Knight's opponent this Friday is going to be Joe Hendry, and most likely it's going to be Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. If you don't know who Matt Cardona is and you only know him by Zack Ryder, that's Zack Ryder. His name's now Matt Cardona, and he's a part of TNA. And obviously has a lot of history with John Cena, so it does make sense for it to be somebody that's had history with John Cena and Solo Sikoa go up against somebody that has also had history with John Cena in a Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. But what if it's Jeff Hardy? There is the big possibility that it is Jeff Hardy. I don't think it's going to be Nick Nemeth, because apparently, according to sources and according to Nick Nemeth himself, who's formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, he doesn't want no part of WWE. He doesn't want to. He wants TNA to just be TNA. He's not very happy that TNA and WWE have joined on together, because he wants TNA to thrive on their own, and doesn't want really to be a part of WWE anymore, because that part of his career is done and he's enjoying his time in TNA. So I don't think Nick Nemeth is going to be a part of this tournament, so that's his name out. It could be an Obafemi from NXT, but I feel like they're announcing the NXT superstars but not announcing TNA superstars, so I think Obafemi could possibly be a part of this, but will be announced on Friday Night SmackDown instead, as one of the competitors in this match. So I do think most likely it's going to be Matt Cardona, but there is the very big possibility that it is Jeff Hardy, because obviously Jeff Hardy is part of TNA, so it's a secret, a mystery, and Solo Sikoa is related to Umaga, and who did Jeff Hardy have one of his biggest rivalries with? Umaga. Solo's literally related to him. Like, that in a way is a little bit of like a full circle moment in a way, if Jeff Hardy goes up against someone that is heavily related to Umaga in a Solo Sikoa, and we get a Solo Sikoa versus Jeff Hardy match, and then round number 2 is Gunther versus Jeff Hardy, and that's when Jeff Hardy comes out of the tournament and Gunther advances to whoever advances in the next round. So between Rusev and Sheamus is a very, very big possibility next week. So it could potentially be Jeff Hardy, but I do think it's going to be Matt Cardona, but there is that big possibility. But yeah, they're the 2 matches that were announced. Obviously, Solo Sikoa is a mystery opponent, but the other match that was announced, like I've said, was Javon Evans versus Gunther. I did give the announcement a 4 out of 5, low 4 out of 5, because I'm actually quite happy with the matches that we possibly could get. Kind of got gutted that Javon Evans, a young superstar, is going up against a superstar that is 39. But if you look at it this way, that Gunther is at an age of a CM Punk, a Jeff Hardy, a Rey Mysterio, a Chris Jericho. No, actually, maybe not so much Chris Jericho. No, actually, no, yeah, Chris. Yeah, no, Chris Jericho. Yeah, Chris Jericho. Who else? John Cena, Randy Orton. Gunther is at similar age to Seth Rollins as well. Roman Reigns. He's at Gunther's similar age to these superstars who John Cena has had a past history with, but Gunther wasn't a part of that era. He's a part of this era. So unfortunately, he never got the chance to face John Cena in an era that he would have faced John Cena in, like 100%. But because obviously Gunther was still training to become a better wrestler and be the wrestler that he is today, that he wasn't a part of the era that he would have been a part of if he was good enough during that era when John Cena went up against people like Rey Mysterio, CM Punk, Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, Seth Rollins even, and Roman Reigns. So we would have got Gunther versus John Cena in the past, but because Gunther wasn't a part of that whole era, he's a part of this era now. That unfortunately we haven't gotten to see John Cena versus Gunther when we probably would have seen that in the past. So it does make sense for Gunther to be a part of this a tournament, because Gunther is a very is a wrestler that does make sense to have had past history with John Cena. So I understand if Gunther does win this, and he probably will win the whole thing, but I'm really to hope he doesn't, but I do think he will. But yeah, so they're the matches that were announced for the Last Time Is Now tournament. We're also getting Maxine Dupree versus Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental Championship next week, and I can guarantee you 101% that AJ Lee is finally making her return next week. Yeah, and then John Cena is also live next week and will be live as the Intercontinental Champion, so that's going to be intriguing to see what happens with John Cena next week. And now we are on to the main event of what happened on last night's Raw, and that was for the WWE Tag Team Championship between the Kabuki Warriors and the current WWE Tag Team Champions, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. I did end up giving this a high 3 out of 5 because I do feel it was on par with Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sheamus and Damian Priest versus Rusev. Alexa and Charlotte attacked Kairi and Asuka before the bell even rang, and they kind of brawled for a good few minutes before the bell actually officially rang. Charlotte was dominating Asuka for the majority of this match. Not gonna lie to you though, we didn't see a lot of Alexa. The majority of this match was a one-on-one match between Asuka and Charlotte Flair. It felt like we didn't really see much of Kairi Sane and Alexa in this match at all, which was a bit weird. We had a near fall to the double moonsault by Charlotte Flair. Yeah, like I've already said, but I did write it down. Like I said again, it was a pretty one-on-one match between Asuka and Charlotte Flair, which is again a bit weird. But unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, but Lash Legend and Nia Jax got themselves involved in this match, and it cost Alexa and Charlotte their WWE Tag Team Championships. So our new WWE Tag Team Champions are Asuka and Kairi Sane. And I'm not mad about it, to be honest with you, because the work that Kairi and Asuka have done over the last 4 weeks, not even longer than that, 6 weeks, has been absolutely fantastic. So they are very much earned. They have earned the tag team championships, considering the work that they've done over the last 6 weeks. So I ain't mad about them beating Alexa and Charlotte, because I do think Alexa and Charlotte are going to carry on being a tag team for a little bit longer. Not for much longer, but I think maybe like up to Royal Rumble time, that they're going to keep Alexa and Charlotte as a tag team, and they're going to have a feud with Nia and Lash Legend, and then Kabuki Warriors will go on to have a feud with Alexa and Charlotte still, probably, but then we'll go on to have a feud with Io and Rhea, and that's who they drop the titles to, is Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. So it makes sense for the Kabuki Warriors to win those tag team champions, because then we now have that feud put in place with Rhea and Io, but now, instead of it just being a normal tag team match with nothing on the line, now the tag team championships are going to be on the line. And I think the Kabuki Warriors are going to hold on to them championships to possibly either Elimination Chamber, where they then drop them to Rhea and Io, or potentially could hold on to them championships up until WrestleMania. And that's our WrestleMania match, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus the Kabuki Warriors for the Women's Tag Team Championships. That's a very big possibility. So I'm not mad about it. But after Kabuki Warriors were able to pick up the victory with the help of Lash Legend and Nia Jax. Lash Legend and Nia Jax beat down both Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. The Kabuki Warriors got involved. All four of them started beating down Alexa and Charlotte Bliss. Io Sky, what the fuck? Io Sky made her return after not being on the show for a few weeks, and helped out Alexa and Charlotte, but then the numbers game got too much, so she ended up getting beaten down. And then we got the also return of Rhea Bloody Ripley with the dashing Cody Rhodes looking mask on, because obviously the broken nose, and she helped out Io Sky and Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, and it was announced by Rhea Ripley that we will have a 4-on-4 War Games match between those 8 women that were in the ring last night. I do not think that I do not think AJ Lee and Becky Lynch are going to be a part of War Games, considering the fact that next week on Raw, we've got an Intercontinental Championship between Maxine Dupri and Becky Lynch, and that is where AJ Lee most likely will make her return. And then the following week is the Raw Before Survivor Series. So I can't see any point over the next couple of weeks that it makes sense for Becky and AJ to get themselves involved in this War Games match, considering that it's equal on both sides of the gates. Like, there's 4 people on the heel side, 4 people on the baby face side. So there's not really a gap for one of them to help out, because it's 4-on-4, so it doesn't really make any sense for them to get themselves involved in this War Games match. So I do think it's going to be a 4-on-4, and the men's is going to be 5-on-5. But I do think that AJ Lee will be a part of War Games, but I think it will be in a 1-on-1 scenario against Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental Championship. That's what I can see happening. But there is a possibility that they somehow make it make sense for AJ and Becky to get themselves involved in this War Games match, but I just can't see it, considering there's only 2 Raws left, and one of those Raws, the Intercontinental Championship's on the line, and that's when AJ Lee will make her return. And then there's only one more Raw before the actual show happens. So it doesn't make sense in my head for them to be involved in this Women's War Games match, considering that Rhea has already announced that the War Games is happening without Becky and AJ even being in the match. So I just don't see it now. I just see AJ having a 1-on-1 match at Survivor Series against Becky Lynch instead, which makes more sense considering that AJ has had 1 match since coming back to WWE in over 10 years, and that 1 match was a mixed tag team match with her husband. She hasn't yet had a 1-on-1 match, and I feel like she needs to get rid of that ring rust a bit more, and in a 1-on-1 match scenario, she can get rid of that a lot more than throwing her into a War Games match with 4 other superstars, with four other superstars that she's not had history with, but also against 4 other superstars that she's never had history with also, apart from Becky Lynch, but obviously that's why I said 4, because the other 4 she hasn't had, in a scenario where there's potential of an injury that could happen, considering that she's only had 1 match. So what, they're going to just throw her into a War Games match on her second match in 10 years? I just don't see that happening. So I think the safer option is just a normal one-on-one match between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental Championship of Survivor Series instead of a War Games. So I think it is just going to be 4-on-4. So in a way, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. Never mind. I was about to say something, but it will ruin something. So I'm not going to say anything. But like I've said, I do think that the 8 women that we saw last night will be the only women a part of War Games, and unfortunately, we won't get to see AJ and Rhea in the same ring together. Not just yet, anyway. But I don't know. I guess we'll see over the next couple of weeks what happens, because we've still got another 2 SmackDowns to go yet. So there is potential that after AJ makes her return next week, that she gets herself involved on SmackDown, and then it makes sense for her to be a part of War Games. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, guys, that has been my Raw review for Raw last night. Like I said, it was a very, very good Raw, and I did end up giving it again a moderate 5 out of 5 Raw, because personally felt it was really enjoyable to watch from beginning to end. I'm very, very excited for next week's Raw, because obviously we've got John Cena live, we've got Javon Evans versus Gunther, which is going to be an absolute banger, hopefully. We've got Solo Sikoa versus a mystery opponent. John Cena is live next week. We've got the 8 women that are part of War Games most likely being a part of Raw next week. We'll have the other opponents in the men's War Games most likely come together on next week's Raw as well. So Raw is looking to be a fantastic show next week again, and potentially has the potential to be another Raw of the year. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But anyways, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this Raw review. Let me know in the comment section down below what you gave this week's Raw, and I'll see you in my next video, which will be tomorrow, because I have already pre-recorded a early War Games prediction video that comes out tomorrow. And then on Friday, I have a lit playlist video coming out that I haven't done in almost 7 months. And then on Saturday, there will be the SmackDown review, because we have a mystery opponent this week for Friday Night SmackDown, when LA Knight goes one-on-one with a mystery opponent. So I definitely will be doing a review for SmackDown as well this week. So yeah, guys, like I said, I hope you have enjoyed, and this has been Charlie, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.